I was sitting in my downtown Denver apartment on a Wednesday evening, still wearing my Navy business suit from another 14-hour workday at the financial consulting firm, when my phone buzzed with a text that would change everything. The message was from my mother, Patricia, and as I read the words, my stomach dropped like I was falling from a skyscraper. You're banned from Thanksgiving until you apologize for your selfishness and remember what family means. Don't show up unless you're ready to say sorry. 3 years. 3 years of carrying my entire family financially after my father's sudden death. 3 years of sacrificing my own dreams, my own savings, my own future to keep them afloat. And this was the gratitude I received. Without hesitation, I opened my banking app and began systematically shutting down every financial pipeline that had kept them alive. The weight of responsibility had fallen on my shoulders like an avalanche on that terrible morning 3 years ago when my father, Richard, collapsed from a massive heart attack while mowing the lawn. At 59, he was gone before the ambulance even arrived, leaving behind a mountain of medical debt and a family completely unprepared for financial independence. I remember Patricia's panicked phone call that first week after the funeral. Her voice was shaking as she explained how the hospital bills were piling up, how the mortgage payment was due, how she had no idea where money would come from now that Richard's construction foreman's salary was gone forever. She begged me to just help temporarily until they could figure things out. My brother Michael, who was 32 at the time, had been struggling with his own construction business for years. The 2008 recession had hit the building industry hard in our small Colorado town, and work was sporadic at best. His wife, Jennifer, had lost her part-time retail job at the local department store just months before Dad died, claiming the stress of 3 children made working too difficult. What started as emergency assistance quickly became a complete financial takeover of their lives. I found myself covering their mortgage payments of $1,100 monthly, both car loans totaling $600, utility bills averaging $300, grocery allowances of $500, weekly insurance premiums, children's school supplies, sports fees, dental bills, and countless other expenses that seemed to multiply like weeds. My career as a financial consultant was thriving in Denver, earning me a 6-figure salary that had seemed substantial until it became the sole support for 8 people. I had worked my way up from an entry-level analyst to managing major corporate accounts, often working 70-hour weeks and bringing clients to my firm worth millions in revenue. But success meant nothing when Tyler needed orthodontics that cost $4,000, when Madison wanted to join the competitive cheerleading team with fees of $2,000 annually, when Connor required specialized tutoring that Patricia insisted was absolutely necessary. Every request came with the same emotional manipulation about family obligations and remembering where I came from. I systematically approached helping them get back on their feet like I would any financial recovery plan. I paid for Michael's truck repairs so he could accept construction jobs, covered Jennifer's certification courses for medical billing that she promised would lead to steady employment, and supported their 3 children's needs without question. The family's promises echoed constantly that this arrangement was temporary, that they would become independent again soon, that they just needed time to adjust to life without Richard's income. Patricia, who had worked as a school secretary before Richard's death, now claimed health issues prevented her from returning to any kind of employment. She developed mysterious ailments that flared up whenever I suggested she might look for part-time work. Michael assured me his construction business was about to turn around, that he had several big projects lined up, that steady income was just around the corner. Jennifer spent her days managing household tasks and children's activities, but somehow never found time to pursue the medical billing career she had trained for with my money. The certification course completion certificate hung prominently in their kitchen, but no job applications were ever submitted. The financial support I provided went far beyond basic necessities. Tyler's gaming subscriptions, Madison's dance lessons, Connor's baseball equipment, family restaurant outings, birthday parties, Christmas gifts, vacation expenses, and countless other luxury items that they treated as essential needs rather than privileges. My own life became secondary to their financial demands. I canceled my gym membership to save money for their expenses. I postponed buying a new car even though mine was having mechanical problems. I stopped contributing to my retirement account and emptied my emergency savings multiple times to cover their unexpected costs. But the shocking discovery came through their own social media posts. While scrolling through Facebook during a brief lunch break, I noticed photos from Jennifer's account showing the family at expensive steakhouses, Tyler with a brand new gaming console setup, Madison wearing designer clothes I couldn't afford for myself, and recent posts displaying Jennifer's costly salon treatments with professionally styled hair and manicured nails. The most infuriating post was Patricia's check-in at an upscale spa resort 2 hours away, smiling broadly while getting a massage that cost more than I spent on groceries for myself in an entire month. The caption read about treating herself after all the stress she had been under, as if my financial support was unlimited income rather than emergency assistance. They had been treating my sacrifices as their personal entertainment fund, spending recklessly while claiming poverty whenever I suggested they needed to contribute to their own support. Every dollar I worked overtime to provide was being wasted on luxuries, while they painted themselves as struggling victims deserving of sympathy. 2 weeks before that devastating text message, I had driven the 3 hours to Patricia's house for what I thought would be a routine family barbecue. The October air was crisp with autumn leaves covering their front yard, a scene that would have been beautiful if not for the tension I was carrying in my chest. I had spent weeks preparing for the conversation I planned to have with them, creating detailed spreadsheets showing 3 years of financial support that totaled over $120,000. My plan was gentle but firm, gradually reducing financial support as they stabilized their own income sources, setting reasonable timelines for independence, and establishing boundaries that would benefit everyone involved. The barbecue was Patricia's idea, inviting extended family members, including my cousins, aunts, and uncles. What I didn't realize was that this gathering would become the stage for public humiliation and family manipulation tactics that would change our relationship forever. When I arrived carrying my laptop bag with the financial documents, Patricia immediately commented on my serious expression, telling everyone loudly that I always looked like I was coming to a business meeting instead of a family gathering. The joke got laughs from relatives, but it stung, because it highlighted how my role had shifted from daughter and sister to unwilling family accountant. After we ate burgers and watched the children play in the backyard, I asked if we could have a private family discussion. Patricia, Michael, and Jennifer agreed, but when we sat down at the kitchen table, several cousins and Patricia's sister remained nearby, clearly listening to every word. I opened my laptop and began showing them the spreadsheets documenting every payment I had made on their behalf. The mortgage payments, car loans, utilities, groceries, medical bills, children's expenses, and miscellaneous costs were all itemized with dates and amounts. The total was staggering even to me, seeing it all compiled in one place. Their initial reaction was complete dismissal. Patricia waved her hand at the computer screen, saying that keeping track of family help was petty and showed that I didn't understand what family meant. Michael laughed, claiming that Richard would be ashamed to see me treating family support like a business transaction. When I suggested they needed to start contributing to their own expenses, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Patricia's voice rose as she declared that I had forgotten where I came from and owed the family for raising me, educating me, and giving me the foundation for my successful career. She claimed that successful family members had obligations to support those less fortunate, especially when tragedy struck. Michael's accusation was even more hurtful. He said I was being selfish and trying to control them with money, that I was using financial support as a weapon to make them feel inferior and dependent. He claimed that I enjoyed having power over their daily decisions and lifestyle choices. Jennifer's contribution was tearful manipulation, sobbing about how I wanted to make the children suffer for their parents' financial struggles. She painted vivid pictures of Tyler, Madison, and Connor going without basic necessities because their aunt had become heartless and greedy with her success. The conversation escalated when I mentioned the luxury spending I had noticed on social media. Patricia's face turned red with anger as she accused me of spying on them and judging how they chose to spend occasional treats. She claimed that after everything they had been through, losing Richard, they deserved small comforts and pleasures. Michael became aggressive, standing up from his chair and pointing his finger at me while demanding to know who I thought I was to dictate their spending choices. He said that if I was giving money freely, I had no right to control how it was used or question their decisions about family needs. The breaking point came when I tried to explain that $120,000 over 3 years was not sustainable indefinitely, that I had my own financial goals and limitations. Patricia's response was to give me an ultimatum in front of the entire extended family who had gathered in the kitchen to listen. She announced loudly that if I couldn't support family unconditionally without keeping track and making demands, then I didn't deserve to be part of family traditions and celebrations. She declared that family meant sacrifice and loyalty, not spreadsheets and conditions. The public nature of her announcement was clearly calculated to embarrass me and rally family support for their position. Several relatives nodded in agreement, not understanding the full context of how much support I had been providing or how little effort my immediate family had made toward independence. But the most shocking revelation came when my cousin Rachel quietly pulled me aside as I was leaving. She whispered that Patricia and Michael had been telling extended family members for months that I was controlling and demanding, claiming that I threatened to cut off support whenever they didn't obey my wishes about their personal decisions. The family had been painted as victims of my financial manipulation, with Patricia describing tearful scenes where I allegedly berated them for minor purchases and made them feel like prisoners in their own home. None of the relatives knew about the luxury spending, the lack of job searching, or the complete financial dependence that had developed over 3 years. Rachel's revelation completely inverted my understanding of family dynamics. While I had been sacrificing my own financial security to keep them comfortable, they had been systematically destroying my reputation among relatives to justify their continued dependence and deflect criticism of their choices. Returning to that Wednesday evening, in my apartment, Patricia's Thanksgiving band text message felt like the final slap after years of unappreciated sacrifice. I sat on my leather sofa, still wearing my business suit, and made the decision that would force them to face reality about their financial situation. Opening my laptop, I began the methodical process of documenting every financial connection I had with my family before systematically terminating each one. The process felt like performing surgery on my own bank accounts, cutting out the financial arteries that had been keeping them alive. First, I accessed my primary credit card account, where Patricia, Michael, and Jennifer were all authorized users. Over the past 3 years, I had added them to provide emergency access and simplify family expense management. The card had a $15,000 limit that they regularly approached each month through grocery shopping, gas purchases, children's needs, and miscellaneous family expenses. I removed Patricia's authorized user status first, then Michael's, then Jennifer's. Each deletion required me to confirm my identity and acknowledge that the removed users would lose all access immediately. The system warned me that any automatic payments they had set up using this card would be declined, but that was exactly what I intended. Next came the joint checking account I had opened specifically for family emergencies and regular expense transfers. Every month, I had been automatically transferring $3,000 into this account for them to manage household needs. The account had my name as primary holder, but gave them full access through debit cards and online banking. Closing the joint account required transferring the remaining balance of $847 into my personal savings and removing all their access privileges. The bank's online system processed the closure immediately, which meant their debit cards would be declined starting the next morning. The mortgage payment was handled through an automatic transfer from my personal checking account to their mortgage company every month on the 15th. Canceling this required calling the bank's customer service line and speaking with a representative who confirmed my identity and processed the cancellation immediately. The next payment was due in 12 days. Their car loans were more complicated because I had refinanced both vehicles in my name to get better interest rates and lower monthly payments. Michael's pickup truck payment was $325 monthly, and Jennifer's SUV was $275. Canceling these payments would result in immediate late fees and potential repossession proceedings within 60 days. I paused for several minutes before canceling the car payments, knowing this would have the most immediate and visible impact on their daily lives. But the memory of Michael's angry finger pointing at me demanding to know who I thought I was to question their choices gave me the strength to complete the cancellation. Utility payments were handled through my credit card as automatic monthly charges. The electric bill averaged $180, gas heating was $220. During winter months, water and sewer was $90, internet, and cable television was $160, and cell phone service for all 5 family members was $240 monthly. Canceling each utility payment required calling individual companies and removing my payment authorization. Some representatives asked if I wanted to transfer the accounts to another payment method, but I simply requested complete removal of my financial responsibility. The utility companies warned me that services would be disconnected if alternative payment arrangements weren't made by the next billing cycle. Insurance was perhaps the most emotionally difficult cancellation because it affected the children's healthcare access. I had been paying for comprehensive health insurance, dental coverage, and vision care for the entire family through my company's group plan as domestic partners. The monthly premium was $430 deducted from my paycheck. Removing them from my insurance required submitting paperwork to my company's human resources department with coverage termination, effective at the end of the month. This meant Patricia, Michael, Jennifer, and the 3 children would lose healthcare access in 18 days unless they arranged alternative coverage. The children's activity fees were numerous and varied throughout the school year. Tyler's gaming subscriptions, Madison's competitive cheerleading, Connor's baseball league music lessons, tutoring services, and school lunch accounts were all connected to my payment information. Canceling these required accessing multiple online accounts and parent portals to remove my credit card and bank account information. Online shopping accounts were another source of regular family expenses that I had been covering without fully realizing the extent. Jennifer had my payment information saved on Amazon, Target, Walmart, and several clothing retailer websites. Her ordering patterns showed weekly purchases averaging $200 across various sites for household items, children's clothes, toys, and personal products. Removing my payment information from these accounts and canceling any stored payment methods took nearly 2 hours of online account management. Some websites required me to call customer service to completely remove payment authorization, while others allowed simple deletion through account settings. During this process, I discovered unauthorized charges on my credit card that Michael had been making as an authorized user. Beyond the family expenses I was aware of, he had been taking cash advances totaling nearly $3,000 over 6 months, purchasing expensive tools for his construction business that he had never mentioned, and buying a 65-inch television that currently sat in their living room. The cash advances were particularly disturbing because they carried high interest rates and fees that I had been unknowingly paying. Michael had been treating my credit card as his personal ATM while claiming financial hardship and inability to support his family independently. As I completed each cancellation, I documented the process with screenshots and confirmation numbers. Part of me wanted evidence of exactly what I was doing and when, in case legal questions arose later. But mostly, I wanted a complete record of just how extensively their lives had been dependent on my financial support. The emotional weight of each cancellation grew heavier as I realized how drastically their lives would change starting tomorrow morning. But Patricia's text message lay open on my phone, reminding me that, according to my family, I was selfish and had forgotten what family meant. If that was their perception of my 3 years of sacrifice, then it was time for them to experience genuine independence. By midnight, every financial connection between my accounts and their lives had been severed. Their comfortable lifestyle built entirely on my income, and creditworthiness would collapse within days. As I finally changed into comfortable clothes and prepared for bed, my phone remained ominously silent. They had no idea yet what tomorrow would bring. Thursday morning arrived with unusual quietness. My phone, which typically buzzed with good morning texts from Patricia and updates about the children's school activities, remained completely silent until 9:15. That's when the first confused text message appeared from Jennifer. Hey, my card was declined at the grocery store. Is there some kind of problem with the account? I was in my office reviewing quarterly reports for a major client when the text arrived, but I didn't respond immediately. 20 minutes later, another message popped up, this time from Michael. Oh, Olga, something's wrong with the credit card. It got declined when I tried to buy materials for a job. Can you check what's happening? The messages started arriving more frequently as the morning progressed. Patricia called twice, but I let both calls go to voicemail. By lunchtime, the confusion had transformed into concern, then worry, then the beginning of panic, as they realized this wasn't a simple technical error. Jennifer's 11:30 voicemail was the first to show real distress. Her voice was shaking as she explained that she had tried multiple cards at different stores, checked the online banking account that showed zero balance, and called my credit card company only to be told she was no longer an authorized user. Olga, I don't understand what's happening. The kids need lunch money for school tomorrow, and I can't access any of our accounts. Please call me back as soon as you get this message. I'm really worried something terrible has happened to you. Michael's afternoon voicemail was less concerned about my welfare and more focused on his immediate problems. His voice was tight with frustration as he described being embarrassed in front of his construction crew when his card was declined at the hardware store. This is Michael, and I need you to call me back right now. I'm on a job site and I can't buy the materials I need to complete this project. My reputation is on the line here, and I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but it needs to stop immediately. By 3 o'clock, Patricia's calls were becoming increasingly frantic. Her third voicemail of the day revealed that she had been trying to pay the electric bill online and discovered that not only was my payment method removed, but the account was now past due with a disconnection notice scheduled for the following week. Oh, Olga Marie, you need to call me back this instant. I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is affecting the children now. Tyler, Madison, and Connor are going to be sitting in the dark and cold if you don't fix whatever you've done to our accounts. This is not the time for whatever tantrum you're throwing. The voicemails continued throughout the afternoon, each one more desperate and angry than the last. Jennifer called crying about not being able to buy groceries for dinner, saying the children were asking questions about why mommy looked so worried and why daddy was shouting on the phone. Michael's messages became increasingly aggressive, demanding explanations and threatening to drive to Denver immediately to confront me in person. His fourth voicemail accused me of holding the family hostage and using money as a weapon against innocent children. But it was Patricia's evening call that revealed the full scope of their panic. Her voice was raw from crying as she described spending the entire afternoon trying to understand their financial situation without my support. Oh, Olga, I've been calling banks, insurance companies, everyone I can think of, and they all say the same thing. You've removed us from everything. The mortgage payment is going to bounce next week. The car payments are canceled. Our health insurance is terminated. I don't understand how you could do this to your own family. The reality of their complete financial dependence was finally hitting them. Without my income and credit backing every aspect of their lives, they were discovering that they had no independent financial foundation whatsoever. Jennifer's desperate 6 o'clock voicemail painted a picture of domestic chaos. She described Tyler asking why the internet wasn't working for his homework, Madison crying because her cheerleading practice payment had been declined, and Connor wondering why they couldn't go to his favorite restaurant for dinner like they did every Thursday. Please, Olga, whatever we did to make you angry, we can fix it. Just please don't punish the children for whatever problems we adults are having. They don't understand why everything is changing so suddenly. Michael's final call of the day showed a man facing the reality of supporting his family without assistance. His voice was subdued, almost defeated, as he described trying to get emergency loans and being turned down due to poor credit scores and lack of steady employment verification. Look, I've been to 3 banks today and nobody will even consider lending us money. Our credit is apparently terrible, and without your income on our applications, we don't qualify for anything. I need you to explain what you want from us to fix this situation. But the most revealing call came from my cousin Rachel warning me about Patricia's increasingly desperate measures. Rachel's whispered voice suggested she was calling secretly from Patricia's house. Olga, I'm at your mom's house, and she's been calling everyone in the family saying you've had some kind of mental breakdown and are holding them hostage financially. She's trying to get relatives to contribute money because she says you've become dangerous and unstable. She's telling people you need professional intervention. This information confirmed my suspicions about Patricia's manipulation tactics. Rather than taking responsibility for their financial dependence, she was painting me as mentally unstable to justify crowdfunding support from unsuspecting relatives who didn't know the full truth about our family dynamics. By the end of Thursday, my phone showed 33 missed calls from various family members, including extended relatives who had been contacted by Patricia with her version of events. The voicemail box was completely full, and text messages were arriving faster than I could read them. Their comfortable world, built entirely on my financial foundation, was crumbling in real time. The panic in their voices revealed just how completely they had come to depend on my support for every aspect of their daily lives, from basic utilities to luxury entertainment. As I sat in my apartment that evening, listening to the increasingly desperate voicemails, I felt a mixture of sadness and vindication. This was what financial independence looked like for a family that had grown accustomed to being supported by someone else's hard work and sacrifice. Tomorrow would bring even more reality as bills came due, services were disconnected, and they faced the prospect of actually working to support themselves for the first time in 3 years. Friday evening brought an unexpected escalation when my apartment building security guard called my unit to inform me that 3 family members were in the lobby demanding entry and refusing to leave, despite being told that unannounced visits required resident approval. Ms. Patterson, I have your mother, brother, and sister-in-law here in the lobby, and they're causing quite a disturbance. They're insisting they need to see you immediately about a family emergency, but they're getting pretty loud and upset. Other residents are starting to complain. I could hear Patricia's voice in the background dramatically declaring that her daughter was having a mental breakdown and they needed to check on my welfare. The security guard's uncomfortable tone suggested he was caught between family drama and building policies about visitor access. Looking out my 15th floor window, I could see Michael's pickup truck parked illegally in the fire lane hazard lights, blinking like a beacon announcing their desperation. The 3 hour drive from their town to Denver meant they had left immediately after discovering the full extent of their financial disconnection. Rather than allowing them into my private space, I decided to meet them in the building's conference room, a neutral location with security cameras and professional atmosphere that would prevent emotional manipulation and maintain clear boundaries during what I knew would be a difficult confrontation. When I entered the conference room, the scene was exactly what I expected. Patricia was dabbing her eyes with tissues Jennifer was clutching, printed photos of Tyler Madison and Connor, and Michael was pacing like a caged animal, his work boots clicking against the polished floor. Patricia immediately launched into her performance, pressing her hand dramatically against her chest and claiming that the stress of losing financial security was causing her heart palpitations and breathing difficulties. She had perfected this routine over the past 3 years, whenever I questioned any aspect of my financial support. Olga, thank goodness you're safe. When you didn't return our calls and all our accounts were suddenly closed, we thought something terrible had happened to you. We've been worried sick that you were in an accident or having some kind of breakdown. Jennifer's approach was pure emotional manipulation, holding up school photos of the children and describing how Tyler had asked why his gaming subscriptions were canceled, how Madison was confused about missing cheerleading practice, and how Connor cried when told they couldn't go to his favorite restaurant. Look at these faces, Olga. These are your niece and nephews who love you and don't understand why their aunt would suddenly cut off everything that provides stability in their lives. How can I explain to them that family doesn't take care of family anymore? Michael's strategy was intimidation and legal threats. He stood directly across from me, using his height and construction worker build to create physical pressure while delivering ultimatums about restoring financial access immediately. This family abandonment situation ends right now, Olga. What you've done could legally qualify as elder abuse against mom and child endangerment against Tyler, Madison, and Connor. We've already talked to lawyers about grandparents' rights and family support obligations. But I was prepared for every manipulation tactic they could deploy. Opening my laptop, I calmly displayed 3 years of detailed financial records showing exactly how much I had contributed to their lifestyle and how little effort they had made toward independence. The spreadsheets revealed monthly support averaging $4,000 emergency payments for medical bills, home repairs and vehicle maintenance totaling thousands more, and luxury expenses that exceeded my own personal spending by significant margins. Before we discuss legal obligations, let's review some facts about our financial relationship, I said, turning the laptop screen toward them. This is documentation of $127,468 I've provided over 3 years. Their shock was visible as they saw the compiled evidence of their dependence. Patricia stopped dabbing her eyes and stared at the screen with genuine surprise, as if she had never considered the total amount of support she had been receiving. These records also show that Michael has been making unauthorized cash advances and purchases totaling $3,200 that I was never informed about. I continued clicking to another spreadsheet tab, including a television, expensive tools, and regular cash withdrawals. Michael's intimidating posture deflated slightly as he realized I had complete documentation of his unauthorized credit card use. Jennifer stopped clutching the children's photos and looked nervously between Michael and Patricia, clearly unaware of the extent of his hidden spending. But my most powerful evidence was the social media documentation. I displayed printed screenshots of their Facebook posts showing expensive restaurant meals, luxury purchases, salon treatments, spa visits, and vacation activities that painted a very different picture than their claims of struggling to provide basic necessities. This post from Jennifer shows a $150 dinner at Cascade Grill last month, I said, pointing to the screen. This one from Patricia shows her day spa experience that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. This post from Michael shows the new gaming setup he bought Tyler without mentioning it to me. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Their manipulation tactics crumbled when confronted with proof of their dishonesty about financial needs and their irresponsible spending of money I had provided through personal sacrifice. Jennifer started crying genuine tears instead of manipulative ones, realizing that their lifestyle had been unsustainable and their behavior had been exposed. Patricia sat in stunned silence, unable to deny the social media evidence of her luxury spending while claiming poverty. Michael's final attempt at intimidation backfired when he threatened to take legal action for family abandonment. I calmly explained that I had been recording all our phone conversations since the Thanksgiving ban, having suspected they might escalate to threats or false accusations. Bah, I have recordings of you admitting that you never intended to become financially independent and that you plan to continue depending on my support indefinitely, I said, playing a brief clip on my phone. I also have recordings of your wife discussing how to manipulate me emotionally and your mother coaching you on what to say to make me feel guilty. The recorded conversations captured them discussing strategies to maintain their comfortable lifestyle, laughing about my concerns regarding their spending and planning manipulation tactics to prevent me from reducing financial support. Their own voices exposed the calculated nature of their emotional appeals and false claims about working toward independence. The confrontation ended with them facing the reality that their behavior had been documented, their manipulation had been exposed, and their threats were hollow. They left the conference room in silence, finally understanding that their comfortable life built on my sacrifice was permanently over. The weekend brought a coordinated campaign that revealed just how far Patricia was willing to go to restore their financial security. Starting Saturday morning, my phone rang continuously with calls from extended family members who had been recruited into Patricia's manipulation strategy. Aunt Susan called first, her voice filled with concern and confusion about family dynamics she didn't fully understand. Patricia had apparently spent Friday evening making tearful phone calls to relatives, painting a picture of my sudden cruelty and describing her fears about losing her home and being unable to feed her grandchildren. Olga, honey, your mother called me last night absolutely hysterical, saying you've cut off all support and they might lose their house. She says you've become controlling and vindictive, using money to punish them for some disagreement. This doesn't sound like the generous girl I know. Uncle Thomas's call was more direct and demanding, reflecting his position as a family patriarch who expected to mediate disputes and restore order. His authoritative tone suggested he believed Patricia's version of events without questioning the full context of our financial relationship. Young lady, I don't know what's gotten into you, but family takes care of family, especially when children are involved. Your mother raised you better than to abandon relatives in their time of need. You need to explain yourself to the family elders and make this situation right. But the most heartbreaking call came from my cousin Rachel, who was caught between loyalty to Patricia and her growing understanding of the truth. Her voice was strained as she described the family meeting Patricia had organized to strategize intervention tactics and coordinate pressure on me. Olga, I was at your mom's house last night and she's got the whole family convinced you're having some kind of breakdown. She showed everyone her empty bank accounts and unpaid bills, but she didn't mention the screenshots you showed me of her luxury spending. She's planning to get everyone to call you today and demand you restore financial support. Rachel's information revealed Patricia's sophisticated manipulation campaign designed to isolate me from family support and force compliance through collective pressure. She had carefully presented herself as a victim, while omitting crucial details about their financial irresponsibility and my years of sacrifice. The coordinated phone calls continued throughout Saturday, and Sunday each family member delivering variations of the same message. Family obligations required me to support Patricia's household. Children's welfare must come before personal grudges, and my actions were destroying family unity during an already difficult time after Richard's death. But Patricia's desperation led her to make a critical mistake that would ultimately expose her manipulation tactics to the extended family. She contacted my employer on Monday morning, calling my company's main number and asking to speak with my supervisor about concerns regarding my mental stability and potential danger with client finances. My boss, Brian, called me immediately after Patricia's call, his voice mixing concern with confusion about the unusual nature of a family member questioning my professional competence. As someone who had worked closely with me for 5 years, he was genuinely worried about my welfare while being puzzled by the accusations. Olga, I just received the strangest call from someone claiming to be your mother, expressing concerns about your emotional state and suggesting you might be having financial difficulties affecting your judgment. She seemed to think I should be worried about your handling of client accounts. Brian's call revealed Patricia's desperation and poor judgment in attempting to sabotage my career as leverage to restore financial support. However, her plan backfired completely when Brian offered company legal resources if I was being harassed or threatened by family members. I've worked with you long enough to know your character and professional integrity. If someone is trying to damage your reputation or threaten your livelihood, the company has resources to help protect employees from harassment, even when it comes from family members. This corporate support gave me additional confidence and protection, while Patricia's attempt to harm my career exposed her willingness to destroy my professional life to maintain her comfortable lifestyle. Brian's offer of legal assistance also provided me with options if the family's harassment escalated further. Meanwhile, Michael and Jennifer were discovering the harsh realities of sudden financial independence. Michael was forced to accept multiple small construction jobs with immediate payment, rather than waiting for larger projects with better profit margins. His pride was suffering as he took on handyman tasks and minor repairs that paid daily wages instead of substantial contracts. Jennifer returned to retail work for the first time in 3 years, accepting a position at a discount store with significantly lower wages than she had claimed in her previous employment. The reality of standing on her feet for 8-hour shifts while managing difficult customers was a shocking contrast to her comfortable stay-at-home lifestyle. Patricia faced her own employment crisis when her claims of health issues preventing work were challenged by the need for immediate income. She was forced to apply for part-time positions for the first time since Richard's death, discovering that her skills were outdated and competition was fierce among candidates with more recent experience. The children were experiencing their first taste of genuine financial limitations as Tyler's gaming subscriptions expired. Madison missed cheerleading practices due to unpaid fees, and Connor asked repeatedly why they couldn't eat at restaurants anymore or buy toys and treats they had grown accustomed to receiving. Tyler, at 14, was old enough to understand the financial changes and began asking difficult questions about why their lifestyle had changed so dramatically. His mature response was to apply for a part-time job bagging groceries after school to help contribute to family expenses. Madison struggled more with the transition, not understanding why her competitive cheerleading career was interrupted, or why her mother seemed constantly stressed and worried. At 11, she couldn't grasp the connection between financial support and family lifestyle changes. Connor, at 8, simply missed the abundance of activities, treats, and entertainment that had been routine parts of his daily life. His innocent questions about when things would return to normal highlighted how completely their lifestyle had depended on my financial support. The most revealing development was the children's growing appreciation for things they had previously taken for granted. Tyler expressed gratitude for simple meals and basic necessities. Madison began helping with household chores without being asked, and Connor stopped requesting expensive toys and activities. By the end of the weekend, several extended family members began questioning Patricia's version of events as inconsistencies emerged in her storytelling. Uncle Thomas called Patricia directly to ask about the luxury spending evidence, while Aunt Susan started wondering why someone with health issues preventing employment could afford spa treatments. My cousin Rachel became instrumental in sharing the truth with family members who were willing to listen. She discreetly provided other relatives with copies of the social media screenshots and financial documentation that revealed the stark difference between Patricia's claims of poverty and their actual spending patterns. The family's desperate measures were beginning to backfire as their manipulation tactics became transparent, and their financial irresponsibility was exposed to relatives who had initially supported their position. The coordinated pressure campaign was losing effectiveness as more family members understood the full context of our relationship. The turning point came during the third week after my financial disconnection, when extended family members began conducting their own investigation into Patricia's claims. Uncle Thomas, despite his initial support for Patricia's position, started asking detailed questions about their financial situation that revealed inconsistencies in her victim narrative. Rachel's courage in sharing the truth played a crucial role in shifting family perspectives. She provided Uncle Thomas with copies of the social media screenshots showing luxury spending, detailed financial records I had compiled, and recordings that captured the family's admission of deliberate dependence on my support. Thomas, I couldn't stay quiet anymore when Patricia was lying to everyone about what really happened. Rachel explained during a family conference call that included several relatives. Olga sacrificed everything for 3 years to support them, and they never intended to become independent. The evidence is overwhelming. Aunt Susan's investigation revealed additional information that Patricia had concealed from the family. Through conversations with local store employees and neighbors, Susan discovered that Jennifer had been regularly shopping at expensive boutiques while claiming inability to afford basic groceries for the children. I talked to several people in their town who were confused about Patricia's claims of financial hardship, Susan reported to the extended family. The manager at the upscale department store said Jennifer was a regular customer who frequently bought designer clothes for herself and the children. The family's reality check accelerated when their electricity was actually disconnected after a week of non-payment. The dramatic impact of losing power forced them to confront the genuine effort required to maintain basic household functions without external financial support. Michael was compelled to take multiple small construction jobs to generate immediate income for utility reconnection. Working from sunrise to sunset on foundation repairs, fence installations, and minor remodeling projects taught him the physical and mental demands of supporting a family through daily labor. I never realized how hard Dad worked to keep us comfortable, Michael admitted to Jennifer after his first week of intensive job searching and manual labor. I thought construction work was just showing up and collecting paychecks, but finding steady clients and completing quality work is exhausting. Jennifer's return to retail employment at significantly reduced wages provided her with newfound appreciation for the financial support I had been providing. Standing on her feet for 8-hour shifts while managing difficult customers made her realize how much effort was required to earn even basic income. I had forgotten how challenging customer service work can be, Jennifer confided to Patricia after her first week back in retail. The paycheck barely covers groceries for 1 week, and I used to spend that much on a single shopping trip without thinking about where the money came from. Patricia's job search experience was humbling as she discovered that 3 years away from employment had left her skills outdated and her resume unattractive to potential employers. Her dramatic health issues seemed to improve remarkably when income became essential for household survival. Ward, nobody wants to hire someone my age who hasn't worked in years, Patricia acknowledged during a family conversation. I had to accept a part-time position cleaning offices because it was the only place willing to train someone with my limited recent experience. The children's adaptation revealed their natural resilience and capacity for growth when faced with new circumstances. Tyler's part time job bagging groceries taught him the connection between work effort and earned money, developing genuine appreciation for financial resources he had previously taken for granted. Madison's adjustment included learning about household budgeting and understanding why certain expenses required careful consideration. Her cheerleading career was temporarily paused, but she used the time to focus on academics and develop new interests that didn't require significant financial investment. Connor's adaptation was perhaps most remarkable as he transitioned from expecting constant entertainment and treats to finding satisfaction in simpler activities and family time. His innocent acceptance of changed circumstances helped the adults recognize how their previous lifestyle had been unsustainable. The family's financial transformation required them to work together cooperatively for the first time in years. Michael and Jennifer created a realistic household budget that accounted for their actual earning capacity rather than depending on external support to maintain unrealistic lifestyle expectations. Patricia's contribution to household expenses through her part time cleaning job, while modest, represented her first financial contribution to family welfare since Richard's death. Her newfound employment also provided purpose and self respect that had been missing during years of dependence. The authentic apology came during the first week of November, when Patricia called me to request a private conversation without manipulation tactics or emotional appeals. Her voice was subdued and genuinely remorseful as she's acknowledged the extent of their financial exploitation. Oh, Olga, I need to apologize for taking advantage of your generosity and painting you as the villain when you were the one keeping us afloat, Patricia said clearly and directly. We became entitled and lazy because your support made life too comfortable. We forgot how to take care of ourselves. Michael's apology focused on his unauthorized credit card use and aggressive behavior during our confrontations. His acknowledgement of financial irresponsibility was accompanied by a concrete plan for repaying the unauthorized charges through his construction work earnings. Whoa, I stole from you by using cash advances and making purchases without permission, Michael admitted honestly. I was angry and embarrassed that my younger sister was supporting my family better than I could. I'll pay back every dollar with interest from my job earnings. Jennifer's recognition centered on her use of the children as emotional leverage and her failure to contribute meaningfully to household financial stability. Her understanding of manipulation tactics was complete and sincere. I was wrong to use Tyler, Madison, and Connor as weapons against you, Jennifer said with genuine regret. I kept claiming I couldn't work while spending money on luxury items for myself. The children deserve better examples of responsibility and independence from their parents. The extended family's revelation of truth created a supportive environment for rebuilding relationships based on mutual respect rather than financial obligation. Uncle Thomas and Aunt Susan publicly acknowledged that Patricia's manipulation had misled them into judging me unfairly. We owe Olga an apology for believing Patricia's story without getting the full truth, Uncle Thomas announced during a family conference call. Olga showed incredible generosity for 3 years, and we should have supported her efforts to teach the family independence instead of criticizing her boundaries. The Thanksgiving invitation came as a collaborative family decision, rather than Patricia's previous authoritarian control over holiday gatherings. Extended family members suggested that I host Thanksgiving dinner in my Denver apartment, creating a neutral environment for rebuilding relationships. We would be honored if you would host Thanksgiving this year, Rachel said, speaking for several relatives. Everyone wants to thank you properly for your years of sacrifice and support your efforts to help Patricia's family become independent and self-respecting. The holiday preparation became a meaningful family project where everyone contributed according to their abilities, rather than their previous expectation of being provided for without reciprocation. Patricia, Michael, and Jennifer collaborated to prepare traditional dishes using ingredients they purchased with their own earned money. Tyler, Madison, and Connor participated enthusiastically in food preparation and table setting, expressing genuine excitement about contributing to family celebration rather than simply receiving entertainment and abundance provided by someone else's efforts. The Thanksgiving dinner conversation centered on gratitude for family relationships, appreciation for individual contributions, and recognition of personal growth that had resulted from experiencing genuine independence and self reliance. Patricia's toast acknowledged the valuable lesson she had learned about the difference between temporary assistance during emergencies and permanent dependence that prevents personal growth and self respect. Oh, I want to thank Olga for forcing us to learn what we were capable of when we stopped depending on someone else to take care of us. Patricia said, raising her glass with genuine emotion. We're stronger, more grateful, and more honest than we were when life was too comfortable. Michael's contribution emphasized his newfound respect for the effort required to support a family and his appreciation for the years of support I had provided while they failed to develop independence. Hakon, I never understood how much work and sacrifice was required to pay all our bills until I had to do it myself, Michael admitted to the gathering. Olga gave us 3 years to get back on our feet, and instead of using that time wisely, we became lazy and entitled. We're grateful she cared enough about us to force us to grow up. Jennifer's reflection focused on her children's positive development and the importance of teaching them self-reliance and appreciation rather than dependence and entitlement. Tyler, Madison, and Connor are learning valuable lessons about work ethic, financial responsibility, and family cooperation that will serve them well throughout their lives, Jennifer shared with pride. They're contributing to family success instead of just consuming resources, and they're happier and more confident because of their involvement. The evening concluded with establishment of clear boundaries and mutual agreements about future family relationships. Financial support would be limited to genuine emergencies with documentation and repayment plans, while regular family interaction would be based on emotional connection rather than financial obligation. Tyler's part-time job had taught him valuable lessons about earning money and managing personal expenses that would benefit him throughout his life. Madison's academic focus during the cheerleading break had improved her grades and expanded her interests beyond expensive activities. Connor's adaptation to simpler entertainment had strengthened family bonds and developed his creativity and resourcefulness. The deep life lesson that emerged from our family crisis was that genuine love sometimes requires allowing people to struggle and grow rather than enabling their dependence and preventing their development. Financial support without boundaries creates entitlement rather than gratitude, while temporary hardship can lead to permanent strength and self-respect. My own growth included learning to distinguish between helping family members and enabling their dysfunction, setting healthy boundaries without guilt, and recognizing that true generosity sometimes means saying no to immediate requests in service of long-term well-being. The family's transformation was complete and sustainable because it was based on their own effort and choices rather than external pressure or manipulation. They had learned to value independence, cooperation, and honest communication while maintaining love and respect for each other. Our Thanksgiving celebration represented a new beginning built on truth, mutual respect, and individual contribution, rather than dependence, manipulation, and entitlement. The struggle had been difficult, but necessary for everyone's growth and the development of healthier family relationships. The evening ended with genuine peace, satisfaction, and hope for continued positive growth in our family relationships. Everyone felt proud of their personal contributions and excited about building a future based on cooperation and mutual support rather than one-sided dependency. As I cleaned up after our modest but meaningful Thanksgiving dinner, I reflected on how forcing my family to face reality had ultimately strengthened our bonds and created the foundation for more honest, respectful, and sustainable relationships going forward. What would you do if your family took your generosity for granted and treated your sacrifices as obligations rather than gifts? Have you ever had to make the difficult choice between helping someone and enabling their dependence? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe for more real life stories about family dynamics and personal growth, and share this with anyone who might be struggling with similar boundary setting challenges. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it encourages you to value your own worth while maintaining love and respect for the important people in your life.